can hit record. Yes, now we're recording. Okay. Hi.
Okay.
All right.
Hi.
I'm going to go ahead and mute and I will turn it over to you.
Great. So we are talking about tonight the first 61 pages of Never Split the Difference and How to Negotiate. If you have read it, and remember, it's 60 pages a week, which is only 10 pages a day, or even less if you want to read all 7 days. But as you can see in my book, I have tabbed it. It is a library book, and so I don't want to write in it, but I have tabbed and made notes all throughout the book. And I don't know about you, but I have really enjoyed reading this. I love, it's almost like watching one of those hostage negotiation movies. So he has some great examples, and obviously, and he says this, we're not in hostage negotiations, right? We're not dealing with that. But he does say on page, now I've got to find, see, this is the problem with all the tabs, right? Is that here we go. So on page 18, the tabs make it a little harder to find the page that you want. But on page 18, he says this book is going to teach you how to reclaim control of the conversations that inform your life or career. So for example, lower the price of a car, get a bigger raise, and even a child's bedtime. So I'm thinking it's the way to talk to people and listen to them and try to see what their reservations are when they want to try to buy a challenge pack, or what their reservations are in becoming a coach, if that is indeed some of your struggles. And that's what I found was really helpful about these first 61 pages, because I don't know about you, but I talk to people all the time and they're sort of ambivalent or afraid about becoming a coach. And it's up to us. The book basically says it's up to us to listen to them, right? So now I've got to find where he says this. So this is sort of in the last, and now I'm skipping ahead towards the last, in chapter 2, towards the last pages that we read. The tactical empathy, it starts on page 50, and the author makes the difference of empathy and sympathy, right? So sympathy means you agree with them, you sympathize with their situation. Empathy means you're just seeing things from their perspective. And then what he says, he makes a big difference in that. He says in tactical empathy is vocalizing it and understanding their feelings, vocalizing them, and actually adopting their mindset. So whatever it is. So first, and we always talk about this, when you first start talking with someone and they express any sort of interest in either becoming a coach or a challenge back, instead of word vomiting, and he uses that phrase too, when I saw that phrase, he says, we don't want to word vomit. Again, these pages are, I'm not very good, even though I've tabbed all of these. But he says, don't word vomit all over the person. He says, ask them a question and then wait for their response. And here's the other thing that I think is important when he goes into this is get the person on the phone, because he talks a lot about voice, right? Oh yes, Sarah just said going too fast. So, and that's one of his points too, is slow it down. That's on page 29. So let me start in order now with my notes. So first you want to, once you make contact and once you start talking about either challenge packs or coaching, you want to let them do the talking. You start by listening. And the way you listen is by asking questions, or what he calls mirroring. So for example, if someone says to me, I always say to them, what interests you in my challenge group, or what interests you in becoming a coach? And if I'm talking about the challenge group, the person might say, I want to get healthy. And if you go to page, because he gives a step-by-step process for this, right? So on page, as you can see, I'm not very organized with my book. On page 44, he gives the step-by-step process. So first he says, use the late night FM DJ voice, right? So it's a comforting voice. It's a voice for me, it's a little whispery, and I've gotten the person on the phone, and when they tell me, I say, why are you interested in this challenge group? And they say, I want to get healthy. And then step two is, so step one is that FM, late night FM DJ voice. Step two is start with I'm sorry, and then repeat the last three words they said. So it's a I'm sorry, you want to get healthy, which means yes, the DJ voice, which means you're sort of questioning, you're asking them without really confronting them. What do you mean by being healthy, right? Do they want, you don't say this, but if someone says to me they want to be healthy, well, what does that mean? Do they want to lose weight? Do they want to lower their blood pressure? Are they combating diabetes? And maybe even this is after, if you have any type of either Google form or Jot form that they have filled out, you can sort of follow up on that and you can say, hi there, Susie. I can see that you put down that you want to get healthy. I'm sorry, you want to get healthy? And sort of ask them, it's sort of a way to ask them to elaborate. And then he says, so step one, the DJ voice. Step two, start with I'm sorry. Step four, silence. Don't say anything. Don't give them any options. Don't say things like, do you mean you have a health issue that you want to combat? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to just start exercising? Don't give them options. And that's something I do all the time. I try to give them options because I think, well, I'm sort of helping them out. But really that means I'm putting ideas in their head and I'm making assumptions. That's another thing he says in the book. Don't make assumptions, right? So silence, and he says at least 4 seconds. And 4 seconds is a long time. But wait for it, because here's the thing, and you may have heard this before. People start getting uncomfortable with silence, and then they will give you an answer. And then he says, just repeat steps 1 through 4. So again, DJ voice, start with I'm sorry, silence for 4 seconds. Sorry, mirror, and then silence for 4 seconds. And that step process is on page 44. Mark it, underline it, fold the page down, photocopy it, write it down, whatever you have to do, because it really works. And here's a little secret. Now that my son's gone upstairs to bed, yes, you used it with your hubby, Sarah. I used it with my son just now. He was stressed out about exams coming up. He's got finals and keystones and AP exams. And so this is what I did. I used my late night DJ voice and I said to him, I'm sorry, you're stressed. And then he went into exactly why he was stressed, and I waited for his answer. Okay, so that's number 1, and that's called mirroring, be a mirror. And then if you wanted to sort of just review the chapter, let's say you didn't do your 60 pages of reading, and you really want to make this call next week, but you know you won't be able to get the 60 pages done. You know what? Just start. Forget about reading the last 60 pages. I'm giving it to you right now. I'm giving you the most important parts. On page 47 is a just review of the key lessons of that chapter. So just go to page 47, review, and start with the next chapter. So in addition to that, those 4 seconds, when you wait for those 4 seconds, as Sarah put in the chat bar, it slows it down so that you're not word vomiting. I had such a good experience. I love working out at home. I love how I can work out with my toddler crawling around me. I love how, that just word vomits. So slow it down and listen to what they say, because that gets us to the next step. So what I was talking about before, tactical empathy. Empathy means seeing things from their perspective, and then tactical is using it to get what you want. So with my son, once he told me why he was stressed about all these exams, I then did what I looked at him from his perspective. I was in high school. I remember what that was like. I remember having exams and being stressed. So then I turned it around and I labeled and spoke his emotions. And I don't know about you. Have you ever been worried about something or felt terrible or sad about something? And then when you look back, um, you think as you say the words, as you say your feelings, it sort of lessens them, it brings them down. So that's what he says we should do when we talk to someone. So with my son, I said, I totally understand your stress. Those exams seem overwhelming. And again, he gives you the wording. He gives you the exact wording on page 56. It seems like, instead of saying, I hear, or I think, or I feel, because that turns around on me, you say, it seems like, or it sounds like, or it looks like. So I said, it seems like you're overwhelmed and feel frustrated by having all these exams in 1 week. And he was like, yes, mom, that's exactly it. So, for example, someone is talking to you about or you're talking to someone about the coaching opportunity. And again, on the phone, in your DJ voice, with a smile, even though, and he mentions this in the book, even though you can't, they can't see your smile. And if you're on a Zoom call, they can see your smile. In your late night DJ voice, smile and say, it seems like you feel a little ambivalent about the coaching opportunity. It seems like you're worried that it is a pyramid scheme. And then again, you wait 4 seconds and let them explain it to you. Or it could be something, it seems like you're worried about that your spouse won't be supportive of you, right? So this is after you've listened to them. This is after you've mirrored and after you've gotten the information and really listened to what they're feeling. And then you take their perspective. You literally put them yourself in their shoes. And that's when you repeat and you say, it seems like, or it sounds like, or it looks like. Because what that does, he says in the book, is it shows them, it speaks the feeling aloud and it makes it less serious to them. It makes them less nervous about it. He says it takes, yes, feel, felt, found, very similar. He talks about in the very beginning of the book that we have two systems. We have sort of like the immediate response emotional reaction, and then we have our logical reactions. And when we speak the feelings, it takes it out of that emotional response and puts it into the logical response. So, for example, with my son, it took it out of he's stressed, he's emotional, he's overwhelmed. And then when I spoke those feelings and actually validated them, and we talked about his overwhelming schedule of exams, he realized, oh, okay, I can deal with this one exam at a time. Look, I'm still talking in my DJ voice. You get used to it after a while. So I think these are really useful tactics to sort of, I hate to say disarm a potential coach or a potential challenger, but validate their feelings and really listen to them, because what our fears were or what our worries were about joining, and some of us may not have had any, um, may not be theirs. So we really have to listen to what they're saying and see it from their perspective, put ourselves in their shoes, and then repeat it back. And that's sort of the overview of the first chapter and a half to page 61. On page 59, he gives a great, so then he says, offer a solution, right? Offer a solution after you've done this. He uses the example of a cranky grandfather who is at a family dinner, and he's cranky and grumpy because he feels that no one has come to see him and he feels left out. So instead of saying that he shouldn't feel that way, or you'll try to see him more, acknowledge that So the author puts it in that we don't see each other all that often, you could say. It seems, so again, right? It seems like we don't, it seems like you feel that we don't pay enough attention to you and you only see us once a year. So why should you make time for us? And so this acknowledges the situation and labels the feeling. So just like that, if you're talking to someone about the coaching opportunity, you could say, I know that you've enjoyed the challenge group. You've been a great challenger. It seems like you're, again, this is after talking to them, it seems like you're worried about not having enough knowledge about health and fitness to become a coach. So that would be the mirroring and the labeling. And then he says, without judgment, offer up a solution. And in our case, it would be I provide trainings, and Beachbody provides trainings online, and there's plenty information I can give you. And in fact, many coaches didn't have this background or training either. Again, if that was their worry, but you would find that out beforehand. So those are the first 61 pages. I'm not going to make you listen to me rattle on and keep going. But again, if you did not read the first 61 pages, don't worry about it. I've reviewed it all for you. Start at page 61. So next week we'll be at page 120 and read 10 pages a day. That is one of our vital behaviors. And you're ready to go. You're ready to join us next week. If you found anything else that was insightful or really helpful, I would love to know. Post it underneath in the comments underneath this posting. Sarah's going to post this. She's recording it for me. And I am challenging you to maybe use one of these. Maybe you're just going to start off with the DJ voice. Maybe you're going to mirror and say, I'm sorry, and then repeat the last 3 words that the person said to you. Maybe you're really going to listen and not word vomit. So choose one aspect, at least one. If you can do more than one, awesome. But I'm going to challenge you this week when you have a conversation to implement these tactics. And I want to know how it worked out, how you felt. I can't wait to hear what you have to say after you give these a try. So I hope you have a great week. I will see you next Monday at 9, and I promise these will all be short. So just read your 10 pages. It's 10 pages. We can totally read 10 pages, right? Makes us better people, gives us strategies. All right, have a great night.
Thank you, Vanessa. That was awesome. I'm excited.
Thank you. All right, great.